Hello, and this is ADVTRES, and we're going to cover a 2-day camping trip up to Cherry Lake in Stanislaus National Forest. That turned into a 3-day essential overlanding course. And what do I mean by overlanding essentials? Well, you're just going to have to watch the video and see. The plan was simple. We were going to meet at Cherry Lake and camp. That's point 1. Head to point 2, check out some swimming pools. That's day 2, and then head home day 3. So we arrived at Cherry Lake late Friday night, set up camp, and then woke up to do a little hiking, enjoy the outflow of the lake, which was all very beautiful. Now at this point we were leaving Cherry Lake, heading to the area kind of in red, thinking about we were going to hit some swimming holes. And overall, the drive leaving Cherry Lake, heading up to the point noted, was pretty good. We went through an area, I think it's a Granite Creek fire, had a heavy burn scar, and we stopped to have lunch in a very picturesque area overlooking the Clevy River. Now this is day 2. We were Saturday afternoon. Everybody was in high spirits. The roads had been really good. This area so far has proven to be pretty excellent for off-roading, and we were really thankful to be in such a beautiful surrounding. Now when we headed out, we were hitting a little bit of snow, but not a lot. We had hit one area where we met a group of ATV riders, and they had come back and said, hey, there's no way you guys are gonna be able to get your rigs through there. The snow's too deep and sloshy. And again, on Saturday it was pretty warm. We had a lot of warm weather, so we were hitting deep but soft snow. And one of the things that we had happen in a couple places going through was kind of getting high centered and getting stuck, right? And here's one of our individuals, getting stuck. Their rig was having some problems, but we were able, everybody was helping everybody out, giving everybody tugs and pulls when we needed to get through this more thick and slushy snow. And what's interesting at this time of year, and again, I'm not a snow wheeler, this is like my second time being in snow, is that there were pockets of deep snow, I'd say maybe 2.5 feet deep, where the rig would just kind of sink into it, and it was pretty soft, pretty slushy. So you really had to, work at it to kind of get through it. And it was also one of those excellent learning experiences for me on, do I use ADVTRES? Do I use my diff? Do I seesaw the wheel? Can I back up and then propel myself forward? So hitting all these pockets of kind of the slushy snow was, actually, really good. And I'm sure people pay good money to go to classes to learn how to navigate this type of terrain. And one of the nice things about, I guess I call it nice, right, is being able to use your recovery gear, right, with a super great group of folks who are knowledgeable and experienced, so that you can start to get more understanding of the flexibility of the gear, like the max track boards, for getting over a down log. Speaking of down logs, we ran into a lot of trees that we needed to use our recovery gear to pull out of the roadway, and the group was super enthusiastic and definitely willing to give it a go and give it a try to open up the trail so we could continue towards our destination. So due to heavy snow, moving trees, we were now just trying to find a campsite, and that's point 2. And it was getting late, and this is actually some night wheeling, going through the snow, trying to get down to a campsite called Hull Creek Campsite, which we were unable to do because the snow was too deep and too slushy. Basically, the rig just hit it and sank. And I would say in some areas it was 2 to 3 feet deep, and when we got down to Hull Creek Campground, we were trying to get to it. We got about halfway down, and one of my friends there was like, hey, the snow is like way too deep, we're not going to get through it tonight, and it was already late. And at that point we turned around and was super happy to see the group and then identify a campsite. Saturday night we camped at this location, which was kind of at, where a bunch of trails were merging together. And then we decided to try to make it out to 120 because we had already, we were already so far into Stanislaus. We decided we would try to continue up the mountain and then see if we could get onto, I think it is 108. So we continued our progress up. This was after, kind of looking at the map, seeing that 120 wasn't too far from our current campsite. We were trying to get 108 through Hull Creek campsite, but we realized we couldn't get through because the snow was so deep. So we saw another route, but again, what we were encountering was kind of in some ways a little bit more snow than what we had kind of our first day in, right? And the snow was getting, when you look at these forest maps, you see all these roads kind of spearing off left and right. So what would happen was we would start to go down one, or a scouting team would start to go down one, and then just find out that the snow was too deep, right? That we weren't going to be able to get all the rigs through safely. So then we'd have to kind of backtrack and reconnoiter, try to find another route through. And what we did get to do is to use our recovery gear quite a bit to either tug or pull each other out when rigs got high centered. And I can say for me, I'm still new, I'm still learning, so I think I had to be recovered like 3 times over the trip because Alice just doesn't have the clearance that some of the other rigs on the trip did. So we arrived Friday night, camped at Cherry Lake. Saturday we tried to get to the secret swimming hole, got kind of blocked by deep snow drifts. And then now it is Sunday and we're trying to get to back to the freeway so we can get out. And by now we had our sights set on getting out to 108, kind of near Dodge Ridge. On the map, it looked pretty close. And so we were all kind of geared and committed to getting there. Continuing on, and encountering snow that was so deep, we couldn't get through it. And where we were located, we actually had cell service, kind of the first time we had cell service. And we were aware now that there was a winter storm warning advisory in place for the location we were at. One of the other things that we were experiencing is because a lot of us thought it was only going to be a 2-day trip, like I didn't bring extra gas. And it turns out when you're wheeling through snow, trying to keep warm in your vehicle, you're actually burning a lot more gas. So there were a couple of us on the trip now that were in very low reserves. And we were lulled in by the fact that from where we are at point 3, it was only a couple miles to the main highway, versus going back would be another 30 miles of travel on low gas reserves. Now, the team had reached out to some very special individuals to kind of talk with the Forest Service, see if the road we were on was even passable, which it turned out it wasn't. So the only thing we could do was, meet our rescuers who were bringing gas, which meant turning around and going back. As you can see by the comparison pictures, quite a bit of snow had fallen. The good news is that our rescuers were able to meet us. They brought us gas, and because of the freeze, the snow going back out was actually firm, so our rigs weren't sinking in it. So it was kind of, as one of my friends on the trip said, it was a blessing that it did snow because it made getting back out quite a bit more doable. Like, we didn't have to winch it all, and we were also going downhill. So all in all, it worked out well. A really great learning experience and an excellent group of people to experience it with. Everybody was super supportive through this adventure. So until I see you down the trail, this is ADVTRES out.